three mighty powers reigned. The Kingdom of Glenbrook, through which runs the mighty Nozelia River, bringing flourishing trade. The Grand Duchy of Esfrost, a land of ice and snow beneath which slumbers rich veins of iron. And in the desert, the holy state of Hyzant, home to the lake from which is harvested the salt essential to life. With each nation controlling one vital resource, conflict between these three powers was all too common.
Triangle Strategy is a strategy RPG by Square Enix. It is in the vein of 2D HT like Octopath Traveler. But the question is this a good strategy game and a good RPG game? Hello folks, it's me, Roggy Froggy, with a review of Project Triangle Strategy, or Triangle Strategy. This game is a strategy RPG, like I said, in the vein of Fire Emblem or of Final Fantasy Tactics, which was made by the same company, Square Enix, at the time Squaresoft. This game was a joy to play. I have so many hours into this game, it is wonderful. But before we get into that, let's hop into what the game is about.
One vital resource. Conflict between these three powers was all too common. Minor disputes and skirmishes gave rise to fierce battles, and before long, the realm was engulfed in a bloody conflict that would rage on for years. Many died in what came to be known as the Salt Iron War.
The story of the game takes place in the fictional continent of Norzella. The story focuses on a new conflict 30 years after the Salt Iron War, though Salt Iron War was a war between the place of Glenbrook, Esfrost, and Hyzant. This fighting arose over the use of a resource of salt and iron. The game follows Cinnaroa Wolfort and his friend Prince Roland, and of course Cinnaroa's fiancée, Princess Federica Esfrost. The game centers around the conflict that happens between the continents. I'm not going to get into too much details because I do not want to give away too much, but let's say this game has a lot of twists, turns, betrayals, and heartbreak to it. The story is amazing and well written in my opinion. It had me hooked from the beginning all the way up to the end, especially when things go to hell and everything goes crazy, especially when an invasion happens. The voice acting to this is pretty good. It's top notch. It is stellar, and even the English voice actors, in my opinion, hit every note. It is beautifully done, beautifully written, and beautifully just all around, just it gets to you. If you like major stories with twists and turns and stuff like that, you will like this, especially if you played Final Fantasy Tactics, because Final Fantasy Tactics story was fantastic. This game hits every note to that and makes me long for a Final Fantasy Tactics game.
I would ask each of you where you think we should go and why. State your case before the scales of conviction. Then we shall decide our destination.
We take a vote and the consensus determines our action. Is that it?
The game is also all about choices. There's a lot of choices that you'll make in the game that will affect the outcome of the game, as well as have different branches of the storyline. The Scales of Convictions is one of those choices where you would have to convince some of your characters on a path that you wish to take. They will have a voting system, and whatever path you take will branch and affect the storyline. There's a lot of times that you'll talk to NPCs as well that will affect the storyline. This makes for a high replay value in my opinion, and if you're not cheating and looking up stuff, it can give you a lot of pause to think of what you would do and what the outcome will be if you choose to do this. It sometimes can be a little bit nerve-wracking, but in a good way. A very good way.
I take coin for drink, not compliments. It's hard enough to keep this place running on my own as it is.
The overhead map has a lot of things to do with it too. You have your main choices, your main storylines, which is in red. Then you have your side storylines or side quests that can help with the story and other things in green. And then in the corner you'll have like these blue marks that are like where you get new characters to join your party, or even side stories of the characters you have in your party, so you can experience their stories. Because the characters that you have in your party will either like the choices you make or dislike the choices you make. I haven't had anyone like leave my party for the choices that I make, but it kind of hints that it's possible. Someone correct me if I'm wrong with that, but it does seem like it's possible that choices can affect the type of characters you get to join you and the type of characters that stay with you.
Good morning. Congratulations, my lord.
We're now on to the encampment. The encampment is where you're going to be doing a lot of your stuff, from buying to upgrading your characters to upgrading their weapon slots. Some of the characters that you see here you can talk to and get to help you with some things like buying things or making your characters level up if you have the right materials and enough coin to do so. It's very imperative, I believe, to update your weapons if you can. So that's where the mock battles come in, and doing those over and over again, getting to resources so that way you can make your weapons stronger and make your character stronger. Because if you don't do that, it doesn't matter how many levels you get up, you'll still be weak and be hitting less than what you should at the level that you're at. So you might get stuck on main quest battles if you're unable to do the upgrade yourself, which is very important in this and something that really needs to be done. So do not skip out on that. Do it when you can.
Out of my way!
Combat in this game is very in-depth. There's a lot that you can do in this game, from backstabbing characters to double teaming to exploiting the weaknesses. The combat in this game is very strategic, and you need to know what you're doing, otherwise you might get taken out. For example, having the right healer at the right area at the time will definitely save your characters from being taken out. Double teaming on a strong character, hitting them from the back and then the front, will ensure that you attack at the same time. So one character hits from the back, the other character hits from the front. Another thing too is placement, where you have your characters above or below. If you have a character above, say your archer on a building, and they attack from above, they'll get a bonus on hitting them. And not only that, they won't get hit. Same with melee characters. If you have a character on, say, a little cliff on the top and they're in the bottom, them hitting you, they will hit you for less damage than you hitting them from the top. You'll get more damage against them if you're on the top. But keep in mind that if you do that, they could do the same thing to you. Placement and unit placement in the game is very strategic too. There are some characters who are better off for some other things than others. For example, there might be some characters that are able to take ice damage, for example. They're not weak against that. If you have a bunch of those and you have ice mages on you, ice mages are going to be pretty useless. So swapping them out for someone else that might benefit your fight is a must in this game. Like I said, there's ledges and stuff like that, so you can knock people off the ledge and send them down to the ground, and that will do extra damage on top of the damage that you do on top of them. But be warned, they can do the same thing to you. Each character has TP points. TP points are points that you can use for your attacks and bonuses. If you run out of TP points, then you won't be able to cast spells or any of that stuff. You gain TP points by just doing normal attacks or waiting. So use your spells wisely. You can't just be slinging spells or slinging skills over and over and over again, because if you do that, then you will end up getting stuck and hit really hard with that, because you won't be able to do any of the things that you need to do. Overall, the battle system is really good. There's a lot of tactics to it. There's a lot to do in it, and I highly recommend you pay attention to what you're doing. Even in easy, you really need to pay attention to what you're doing. Otherwise, you might get caught slipping and you might lose the battle, even though it seems like you're winning.
On your guard.
Sound design in this game is fantastic. The sounds of battle, the graphics is amazing on this. As I said, the voice acting is phenomenal and top notch. Just take a listen to this.
Brace yourself!
Here I come. Yeah! Victory is ours!
As you can see and hear, the combat just sounds crisp and it just flows good. It just really pleases to the ears in this game. They did a very good job with the sound design and everything else into it. It just fits perfectly for the aesthetic of the game and is very pleasing to the ears.
I fight for peace. Two ashes. It worked.
Overall, this is a gem of a game that should not be overlooked, especially for strategy RPG fans, especially for those fans that love Final Fantasy Tactics. This makes me yearn for a new Final Fantasy Tactics or for a remake. There's supposedly a remake coming, but who knows with that. There was a leak that happened, so that might be coming. But still, if you're a fan of strategy RPGs, this is a must-buy on the Switch, and I cannot recommend it enough. It is easy for those, it's not easy, but it can be easy depending on where you put it on for those who are new to strategy RPGs. So if you've been turned off by how hard they can be in some of them, like Battle Brothers, which I've been playing, or Fire Emblem Three Houses and stuff like that, this is the game that you should try first, because it will ease you into it. It will explain how the mechanics are, and the mechanics can be as in depth as you want, or you can just try and, you know, just attack. Though I don't recommend that. I do recommend using the tactics. Combat is very good. It's very fluid. It's very intuitive. It's very tactic oriented for a strategy RPG game. Like I said, you can go into higher ledges, and being in higher ledges will help your character get hit less, and you can hit them harder if they're below you. There's just so many tactics on here that it would take too long to tell everything. So in conclusion, I do highly recommend this game. This game is a must buy on the Switch. If you can get it, get it. If you're not into strategy RPGs, this should change your mind on strategy RPGs, in my opinion. This should get you to wanting the strategy RPGs a lot more and wanting to play it a lot more. And I cannot wait to see what Square Enix does with the HD 2D games and to see if they will do another sequel to this game. I hope you enjoyed my review. Please give a like and thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell thing so it rings, and I will see you next time. Hop you later.